In the coming week, the airwaves, well, they'll be swamped with the words impeachment inquiry.
The center of this new impeachment inquiry.
We call it an impeachment inquiry.
Before launching an impeachment inquiry,
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi announces an impeachment inquiry.
The government whistleblower who set off the impeachment inquiry.
We really only have one topic to discuss.
Here's a live look at where the high-stakes hearing with the acting director of national intelligence.
What is in that whistleblower's complaint?
It is in the Constitution.
Secretary of State Mike Pompeo subpoenaed for Ukraine documents.
These past 10 days in September may prove pivotal. Key moment in the impeachment battle.
What I think has shifted is sort of the moral implications inside the Democratic caucus.
Donald Trump will leave Congress, in my view, no choice but to initiate impeachment.
Oy vey, as my loving grandma used to say. Don't get me wrong, we have a corrupt president. Not exactly breaking news. Should he be impeached? Yeah, for about 25 things. But do you need me to tell you that? Do you need Status Coup to cover this wall to wall? I don't think so. But let me tell you something else that's very scandalous. The fact that Flint, Michigan still does not have clean water 5.5
In the coming week, the airwaves, well, they'll be swamped with the words impeachment inquiry.
The center of this new impeachment inquiry.
We call it an impeachment inquiry.
before launching an impeachment inquiry,
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi announces an impeachment inquiry.
The government whistleblower who set off the impeachment inquiry.
We really only have one topic to discuss.
Here's a live look at where the high-stakes hearing with the acting director of national intelligence.
What is in that whistleblower's complaint?
It is in the Constitution.
Secretary of State Mike Pompeo subpoenaed for Ukraine documents.
These past 10 days in September may prove pivotal. Key moment in the impeachment battle.
What I think has shifted is sort of the moral implications inside the Democratic caucus.
Donald Trump will leave Congress, in my view, no choice but to initiate impeachment.
Oy vey, as my loving grandma used to say. Don't get me wrong, we have a corrupt president. Not exactly breaking news. Should he be impeached? Yeah, for about 25 things. But do you need me to tell you that? Do you need Status Coup to cover this wall to wall? I don't think so. But let me tell you something else that's very scandalous. The fact that Flint, Michigan still does not have clean water 5.5 years later. The fact that Newark, New Jersey, Pittsburgh, Milwaukee, Cleveland, parts of Florida, parts of California, parts of Massachusetts, Detroit.
So the residents have had to bear this burden of the city screwing up, the state screwing up.
So this issue about water is a growing crisis in the Midwest, if you ask me.
And many other cities in America also have water problems. Another scandal. Black men continued to be executed by the police in the United Corporations of America.
So it's many inconsistencies that's in the situation. So we know, that it's plain out murder.
I understand or have some understanding of police culture, that they like to protect their own. for years and decades, it's been an open season for black men.
After they dragged him for several feet, they put him back on the ground face down.
Another scandal, state parties all over the country, Democratic state parties, are screwing local progressive candidates, just like the DNC screwed Bernie Sanders in 2016. Another scandal. Fracking and these crude oil, natural gas, totally unnecessary, totally toxic pipelines are being built at a record rapid pace, and there are fighters on the ground getting no media coverage.
Since when is profit more important than water? When is profit more important than people?
So if you want 24/7 Trump, 24/7 impeachment, 24/7 Ukraine, 24/7 Russia, whatever other scandal of the day, not your guy. But if you want on the ground, in the field reporting of the actual, true, long-lasting, happening way before Trump scandals in America, become a member. StatusCout.com/join for as low as a cup of coffee a month. StatusCout.com/join. Help us build the media revolution. We go out in the field. We've been all over this country in the last 2 years.
Standing Rock. I've been with you. I've been with you since Standing Rock.
Wow, you got me on right now. We're doing it, baby. We're going to South Bend. It's time to show the real Mayor Pete.
In 100 days, they tore down 1,000 houses in 100 days.
Thank you, whether it's Standing Rock or Flint or everything else you do. You know, you guys, it's not even like watching news. It's just watching truth, you know.
It's not me and you, Jordan. It's the ruling class. It's David Koch. It's the Walton family, Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk. It's them, not us, that benefit from these illegal offensive wars.
Come on over here. Whoa!
We're here at the Bellagio in Las Vegas, and you are going to see live the actual caucus process. We are here.
We go out in the field, and we give the microphone back to the people.
Yo! Cool! I know who you are, yo!
How you doing, man?
You're the man, yo!
oils? Okay.
Ooh, essential oils, purification. Oh, peppermint. La la la. Love it.
I am worried about Jordan, testing positive. He doesn't have any breathing difficulties right now, but he definitely has a cough that's been really bad and that's been hurting his chest.
That's Fury right there. I've cleared out the desk and now got my drill a hole and we'll see how this goes. Hopefully well. I know a general idea of what I want, essentially, so I'll try and get all this down to about a minute, get the main points, especially I got 2 videos at least for Flint.
The bottom line is, it's Sunday morning. I'm preparing for my Sunday live stream, which usually takes me about 2 hours to prepare for before the live stream. And I got an email from a viewer.
Hey guys, Jen Dice here with a behind the scenes video. First of all, thank you so much for being a member. It's because of you guys that Jamal and I are able to be here. We can't thank you enough. It means just the world to us.
Millions and millions of people have been laid off. Millions more have had their hours cut. We're kind of living in a quiet, silent depression. What do you call 45 million people filing for unemployment?
$1,200 in 3 months makes no sense. Makes absolutely no sense.
Everybody should be paying attention to what's going on because this is happening in every county, not just Louisville, Kentucky. And that's why the world is like, wait a minute, enough's enough.
And one thing I do know is if you're not sitting at the table, you are on the menu. And it seems like we continue to be on the menu.
I don't want to have to lose everything that we worked really hard for. We've been struggling for 5 years, and then we finally got everything together, and it just instantly went away.
Literally driving across the country during the pandemic, talking to people, finding out what's going on.
There are people such as yourself and other people that are telling the true story of what is happening.
All of these black people have been assassinated by police in this city, and none of them have been brought to justice.
People don't really care about those things in places where, we're not New York, we're not Chicago, we're not Minneapolis, we're Louisville, Kentucky.
If somebody calls you screaming for help at 911, they never treated her. They never came to her apartment, nothing.
Vote, and do what's right in your heart because change comes from within. So as long as your heart is pure and you're doing what's right, that's what matters.
Once upon a time there was truth in journalism where brave men and women gave voice to the voiceless. But then the corporations bought the journalist, poisoning the news that we are fed. With those tainted sources, all we ever ate was a steady diet of status quo. This hijacked narrative hid the truth of mass suffering, injustice and corruption throughout our land. Status quo, status quo, status quo, status quo. To expose this shift to oligarchy came a band of honest journalists. They left the studio and hit the streets to give the microphone back to the people. From sea to sea, the people were empowered to share their truth. Their voices no longer stifled, reclaimed their power. Join the media revolution now.
Hey there, Jordan Sheridan live. It is Wednesday, October 28th, 2020. Let me know if you can hear me. Let me know if you can see me. I am using a different microphone today. I just wanted to test the microphone because Jen is coming up in a few days, so I have to use a different microphone. So let me know if you could hear me. Let me know if you could see me. Let me know if my color is okay for you. I know some of you have said that I look green, so I've adjusted the color. Hopefully it's a little better today because I don't want to look green to the people. Going to be live for a little bit of tonight. We are going to be live once again from Philadelphia. If you watched last night, John Farina, independent journalist, independent videographer who's done camera for us for the last few months, is going to be live again. He did amazing work in Philadelphia last night from the protests. If you don't know, another black man has been murdered by police in Philadelphia. This time he was having a manic or mental episode. His mother was telling the police that he is mentally ill and trying to get the police not to hurt him. And as Walter Wallace was wielding a knife near the police, but the police ended up shooting him at least 7 to 10 times each. There were 2 officers when he was a safe distance away from the police officers. The police officers said they didn't have tasers because budget cuts. So understandably, police protesters have been out very loudly. Last night it got tense between protesters and police. Some protesters were beaten by police, which we showed you. John was running around like a crazy man. I was getting exhausted just watching it. So just imagine how out of breath he was. So definitely make sure you're around tonight. If you're not on our text list, you might not know when we're live. So definitely make sure you're on our text list by texting COUP to 370-370. That's COUP to 370-370. So I'm going to get to the story in a minute, but I also wanted to tell you, and here's a reminder, that's who Walter Wallace was, and John will be live. We're thinking around 7:30 Eastern tonight from Philadelphia. There is tonight a curfew for protesters of 9 o'clock Eastern time, so it might get even more tense tonight because last night there wasn't a curfew. John does not anticipate most protesters following the curfew, so we'll see. I'm going to ask you straight up, because I always keep it real, and I'm going to be real with you. And thank you so much, because we have been getting GoFundMe donations as the screen goes black. Hold on. I'm going to keep it 100. Status Coup was growing very, very rapidly before COVID. Since COVID, we have tried to stay strong, but we definitely have taken a hit financially. One of the reasons we take a hit financially is because, our model is membership. Our model is membership, meaning folks paying $5 a month or $10 a month, but $5 is our main membership. Right now, we're at 1,686 members. We were near 2,000, but real simple. We need more money to be able to stay out in the field, and I'm just going to lay it out there for you. To have John out anywhere, whether it be in New York, we pay more, obviously, if he has to drive, let's say, to Philadelphia. It costs several $100s. Not that we're happy to do it. He does great work. Just for, one broadcast to have him working for us. Then you add on top of it the live streaming costs. It costs us $600 a month to use the live view for the server connected to the live view and the data plan. We've also been hit with overage going over the data for live view. Then you have other travel expenses. Jen was just out on the West Coast doing great reporting with John. I'm going to be out in the next few days. There's advertising. Then there's just the normal, what I make a month, what Jen makes a month, Colin. There's a lot of expenses, and we have no money coming from big bankers, fossil fuckers, big real estate, big pharma, Silicon Valley, the military-industrial complex. We actually are independent. We don't say we're independent. We are independent. So I know some people get triggered. Oh, here they go asking for money. We're asking for money because, frankly, we need the money. If we don't either grow our membership more rapidly, which we're going to work on, or at least get reinforcements now via GoFundMe, we're honestly not going to be able to use John as much, and we're not going to be able to go in the field as much. That's just the truth. So thank you so much. We had amazing donations last night. We had one person. Let me read it real quick. London Bat was his or her name. I don't know if that's their real name, but if it is, that's amazing. Gave $300. I mean, I can't thank you enough. That's so generous. That basically covered expenses for last night. So thank you. Anonymous 25, Lorraine 5, Daniel 10, Michael 15, Haley 10, Ami 20, Marie 10, Anonymous an hour ago 100, Arturo 10, Faint Signals 10. Thank you guys so much. And also I want to announce, which also is connected to needing more funding through GoFundMe. We're headed to Pennsylvania for Election Day. So we're going to be headed on Monday to Pennsylvania. Obviously, election is Tuesday. From everything I am seeing, if Trump has a chance at another political upset, he's got to win Pennsylvania. From everything I could see, Pennsylvania, of the battleground states that Trump won in 2016 because he won Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. To win this time, he's got to win one of those three with Florida. So his main path is winning Florida and Pennsylvania. That is the strongest chance he has. And of Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin, he's closest in Pennsylvania. So it makes sense for us to be there. There's also been a lot of shenanigans and fuckery with mail-in ballots, court challenges already. Frankly, in terms of funding, I have a hunch it's not going to be one day in Pennsylvania. I don't think it's going to be 2 days in Pennsylvania. I think this thing could go on for days and days, possibly a week. And obviously, we would want to be there as long as it takes. So if you can, obviously we understand this is a pandemic. We understand so many people are struggling. So if you can't donate, totally fine. If you can, the minimum on GoFundMe is $5. I'm asking you look into the camera for your help. This is not other independent outlets, asking you to give money for them to squander it. We are walking the walk. We're going live from Philadelphia again tonight to cover these protests. I was just live the other day in Queens with John, covering that horrible story about the gas shortage. I was live from Trump protests. The trip on the West Coast with Jen and John for 2 weeks cost a lot of money. And the thing is, straight up, if we just sold out, if we just took money from like a David Brock type organization or one of these neoliberal foundations, or if we just took money from the usual suspects of the Democratic Party, there would be no need for a GoFundMe. And we wouldn't be fighting so hard to grow our membership. But we haven't. We have not taken that money. We will not take that money. And for those that say, oh, here they go asking for money again, I'd like you to start your own independent outlet. I really would. I'd like you to start your own independent outlet, and I'd like you to try and cover these things in the field with camera people, with marketing, with advertising, with editing, with travel costs. There's a lot of costs. So if you can, drop it in the GoFundMe. I'll give you a shout out throughout this broadcast. And tonight we'll be live from there with John, I think around 7:30 Eastern. So thank you. I hope you understand why I'm asking, and I hope you could pitch in. Super chats are welcome too. So let's get right to it. I'm not huge on political, and by the way, smash that like button right under the live stream. The more people that press that like button, thumbs up, the more people that will see this. I'm not huge on political prognostication. I don't like predicting, although it's on tape that I said before the general election in 2016, I thought Trump had a very good chance of winning. I thought that when she picked Tim Kaine. And I was on the road seeing all of these Trump signs everywhere with very little enthusiasm for Biden. So, whatever. I'm not big on it. At the moment, obviously the polls all are indicating, most of them are indicating Biden will win. Trump is slightly making gains in Pennsylvania. I also think, frankly, just looking at it, Trump is campaigning a hell of a lot more than Joe Biden. Biden seems to be doing maybe 1 to 2 events a day, more so 1 event a day. I mean, Trump is in some state is zigzagging. I think he did 3 yesterday. I think he's basically doing 3 or 4 for the duration. However, when you look at a lot of these polls, and thank you for the super chat, Annette, 1999, appreciate it. Super chat's fine. GoFundMe is welcome. Whatever floats your boat. YouTube does take more than GoFundMe does, just so you know, in terms of the super chat. But whatever works for you. With all that said, I actually don't think it's a done deal. I do think there is I'd say 20 to 30% chance that President Trump wins re-election. And the reason is, I have been seeing more and more, and one article caught my eye, and this goes hand in hand, why we're deciding to go to Pennsylvania on election night. Me, Jen, and John. You know, the polls aren't always syncing with what journalists are seeing on the ground. Perfect example. Here's this article from the New York Times. Can we trust Pennsylvania polls? They show Joe Biden clinching crucial counties. So why does it feel so different on the ground here? And this was pretty much my feeling in 2016. The polls showed Hillary Clinton doing so well, but on the ground, the enthusiasm seemed to be with Trump. I'm not going to read the whole article, but I'll read a little bit of the article. 2 men, one in a Ford F-150 truck bedecked with Trump decals and the other in a Chevrolet Malibu, were stopped at a traffic light arguing about politics. The light turned green, the truck pulled into a parking lot, and the Chevy followed. The man in the truck jumped out, brandishing a trailer hitch head like a war hammer. The parking lot led to the Trump store, a tiny shop selling MAGA merchandise. It has turned the strip mall here in Bucks County, north of Philadelphia, into a never-ending Trump rally. This was Saturday afternoon. Less than an hour later, someone leaned out of the window of an SUV, punched a Trump store customer in the face, and took off. Quote, "It feels like I'm surrounded by Trump people," said Kendall Messick, 25, a warehouse worker for a phone company who was sitting in the passenger seat of the Chevy Malibu, which had moved to an adjacent lot when a store manager threatened to call the police as the argument escalated. Quote, "Look where you are," said the car's driver. He gestured toward the growing group of Trump supporters whom he had nearly come to blows. "You're in a Philadelphia suburb. This town and others like it will decide which way Pennsylvania and its 20 electoral votes will swing in next week's election. Trump won the state by less than 1% in 2016 and pretty much can't eke out a victory again without it. Quote, "We win Pennsylvania, we win the whole thing," Trump said at a rally on Monday. Saturday morning, before the contretemps at the Trump store, Biden was just down the road speaking at a community college. Quote, "It may come down to Pennsylvania. Polls show Biden leading by 5 to 13 points, but I grew up around here and am dubious. This place, the land of hoagies and Bradley Cooper and Rocky Balboa worship and Tina Fey's cousin Karen, has transmogrified into Trumplandia." Why the fuck is this person using these crazy words? Quote, "He has so much more support than in 2016 because it's been 4 years of accomplishments," said Darina Thompson, 49, a homemaker who was talking with a group of women outside the Trump store. They were part of a caravan that had just encircled the Democrats' rally to say bye-bye to Biden and let his supporters know they were outnumbered. "We just drove all around, and people were coming out of their houses and cheering us on as we paraded through their neighborhoods. Pollsters say that the suburban women are President Trump's kryptonite, that they've turned on him. At another Pennsylvania rally, the president pleaded, 'Suburban women, will you please like me?' I feel that's wrong. We're the majority," said Jennifer Garrard, 41, a single mother working in consumer goods who was standing near a pink Dodge Challenger emblazoned with Women for Trump. Ms. Gerard said that she was part of a group that raised enough money to erect a Women for Trump billboard over the stretch of I-95 that crosses from the city into the burbs. I guess they don't mind the 15 to 20 women that have accused him of rape and sexual harassment. Isn't she bothered by the president's loud mouth and tetchy Twitter fingers? There is a shock factor for sure, she said, but I think we know what to expect now. What about his flirtation with white supremacists? Quote, "I'm sick of people coming to me and telling me I'm a racist because I'm Republican. My son is half Puerto Rican. I don't understand where that comes from." So if you read further into this, let me find it. This is what everyone is trying to figure out. Is the Trump mania here restricted to a minority circling the drain, or is it a blinking red warning sign that the polls are once again badly discombobulated? One thing is for sure, it is a florid expression of how many Americans still feel alienated from the system. And they go through more examples of people that are supporting Trump despite the polls. So why that caught my eye is because you've been seeing the Trump support in terms of signage and all those things for a while now. But you've only started to see, particularly in Michigan, Wisconsin, and other swing states, you've only started to see an influx in the Biden signage and all that over the last, I'd say 4 to 8 weeks, so maybe 2 months. To me, that could potentially be not as much pure organic support for Joe Biden, like people, going out trying to get their Biden signage, but the Democratic Party and the massive amounts of money that Biden has been raising, flooding the zone with signs. Thank you, FJ, $2.99 in the super chat. And keep it coming in the super chat. GoFundMe, thank you so much. Kelly Elaine just gave $20 in the GoFundMe. Thank you, Alex, $20 in the GoFundMe. Like I said, expensive to have John on the ground there. Jen, myself, and John are going to Pennsylvania for the election. Probably not going to be one day, to be honest with you. So we might need to be there for several days. Food, hotel, you know the drill. Keep it coming on the GoFundMe if you can. And please keep pressing that like button. But then there is the whole shy Trump voter phenomenon. And before I get to that, I just want to show you in Real Clear Politics, let me show you the Real Clear Politics average right now in Pennsylvania. Hold on. Battleground, Pennsylvania. The average of polls in Pennsylvania is Biden up 3.8. So let's just round it to 4. When you average in, the margin of error, Biden's really only up by a point because most margins of errors are about 3 to 4 points in Pennsylvania. The last one, Trafalgar, just said tied. Now, Trafalgar, it's a kind of a spotty polling outlet, but they did get a lot of the states correct in 2016. Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, they got right. You got Reuters, Biden up 5 recently. Again, Fox News, Biden up 5. So Biden's up by a healthy number, but it's not a commanding number that you'd be like, Trump has no chance, particularly the fact that Trump is campaigning so much in Pennsylvania. But what I think is really significant is, are there still this Trump phenomenon of shy Trump voters? And when I say shy, I don't mean like the Trump supporters you see me interviewing, these MAGA, QAnon, Proud Boy, conspiracy people. They're certainly not shy. What I'm talking about and what outlets have reported on is, could there be a decent chunk of people that don't want to tell pollsters, yeah, after 4 years of this lunacy, after, the taxes, after, basically, tweeting, nuclear threats at Kim Jong-un, after, taking joyrides around Walter Reed, highly contagious with COVID. I mean, I could go down the list of insane, crazy things Trump has done. Maybe they don't want to offer that they're sticking by their guy. Maybe a lot of these Trump supporters basically have a disdain for media or pollsters that they don't want to participate. We know that in 2016, there was a decent chunk of people that didn't speak with pollsters but supported Trump, and therefore they weren't figured into the pre-election polls. Now, you can't really blame pollsters if people aren't going to answer them or give them the information, but why would we think these people suddenly are talking to pollsters? So let me read you a couple things. Shy Trump voters will power his win, said pollster who called 2016 race. Thanks to hidden support from voters who are embarrassed to admit they will vote for Trump, the president will be narrowly reelected on November 3rd, says one of the pollsters who correctly predicted his 2016 victory. Pollster Robert Cahaly, the head of Georgia-based Trafalgar Group, saw interest in his company skyrocket in 2016 after he bucked the consensus of other pollsters and forecasted Trump would beat Clinton in Michigan and Pennsylvania, two states that were crucial to his victory. It's that same demographic that Trump often refers to as the silent majority, which is kind of racist dog whistling, but I digress, whom the president says will help him win this election big. Unlike the rally goers in MAGA hats who have memorized the lyrics and sing along to Lee Greenwood's God Bless America, the shy Trump voters will show that the methods of most polling outfits are outdated and unreliable. Unlike those bigger, more traditional pollsters, Trafalgar echoes long in-person interviews with voters, providing them with other options to record their voting preferences, including online and by text, that critics say are less scientific, but that Cahaly said in the following interview, which has been lightly edited, more accurately reflect human psychology. So he says, the social desirability bias is a theory that's been around for a long time. It is that especially when dealing with a live caller, the person being asked the questions will craft their answer in a way that puts them in the best light to the person asking the question. Kind of in the sense that if somebody hideously dressed walks up to you and says, "How do I look?" you say, "You look fine." I think every guy's been in a position where some lady asks how you look and you don't say bad. There's politeness. I grew up in the South where people never really tell you what they think. This was nothing new to me. I'm used to this. Some of my first experiences in politics, I saw every Jesse Helm race, all the ads, and I remember hearing Jesse Helm was only losing by 5, so he was going to win by 2. People won't admit they're going to vote for him. I saw this in practice. I grew up with it. So that's one reference to the shy Trump voters. This article was also instructive. Hold on. Higher earners are more likely to be shy Trump voters. Well, this is interesting because the New York Times just showed that, the donations coming from the Upper West Side of Manhattan and New York City have all been from the rich of the rich. And Biden's been cleaning Trump's clock among people making over $100,000 a year. Well, according to this new survey finds that people in households making $75,000 a year and more seem to play down their support for the president when polled by phone. Trump has often said that polls underestimate his support. When it comes to higher income voters and college graduates, at least, that may be true. A new study by Morning Consult, a survey researcher, finds that people in those two groups are less likely to state support for Trump when surveyed by phone than when answering questions online, where they presumably feel more anonymous. However, Morning Consult couldn't detect if there was any shy Trump effect on the overall poll results. For voters of all incomes and education levels, the polling gap between Trump and Democratic nominee Biden was 2 percentage points wider in Biden's favor by telephone than online, 12 to 10%. The number of people surveyed wasn't big enough to tell if that 2 percentage point gap was a real difference or an artifact of sampling error. Voters in households earning $75,000 a year or more were 10 percentage points less likely to express support for Trump when surveyed by phone than when surveyed online, 42 to 52%. College education had a smaller effect. College grads were 3 percentage points less likely to express support for Trump by phone than online. So, to me, all of this sounds kind of in the weeds, maybe scientific. I do think, based on, these moron pundits keep saying, "Oh no, rally sizes don't matter. That has nothing to do with it." Thank you, Swirly Swirl, $5. Trafalgar got 2018 wrong. They changed their methods since 2016. Yes, they did get 2018 wrong in terms of the midterms. But let's be clear, Trump wasn't on the ballot in the midterms. Indirectly, theoretically, was he on the ballot? Was there a suburban outcry against Trump, which helped Democrats take back the House? Yes. But he himself was not on the ballot, so I kind of think that's apples to oranges. And full disclosure, Trafalgar, I feel, and Jen feels, that their polling isn't 100% the most trustworthy. However, again, they did get 2016 right in 2 of the key states that decided the election for Trump. The other thing about it is, I agree, and I think there is basis to say some voters might tell you a different answer or might not give you their real answer on the phone because they're uncomfortable or they don't for whatever reason. Do I think the shy Trump voter ultimately might make the difference? Possibly in some states. I do think it's possible that in a state like Pennsylvania, there might be a hidden Trump vote. In Pennsylvania, as opposed to Wisconsin and Michigan, there's a lot of those steel workers, a lot of those blue collar workers, that those Reagan Democrats that have kind of flipped around. They voted for Bush. Maybe they switched to Obama. They voted for Obama. They switched to Trump. That are looking at Biden and starting Trump finally at his rally in Pennsylvania the other day, finally started talking about Biden and NAFTA, finally started talking about Biden's support for the TPP. I don't know why he didn't do it much in the debates. And this is coming from somebody who wants Trump to lose. He could have hammered Biden on his major participation and support for NAFTA, TPP, normalizing trade relations with China, things that have decimated Pennsylvania. So it really comes down to energy on the ground. We're going to be in Pennsylvania closer to Election Day, but from the people I've spoken with who are on the ground in Pennsylvania, including Jason Peters, who's done some work for us. He's Philly-based, but he's been around Pennsylvania. There seems to be a lot more energy for Trump. Making, again, this is speculation, but making one wonder, is it possible, again, there's a significant swath of people just not answering the pollsters. Whoa, Martha Cooper, thanks so much for the $50 in the GoFundMe. Holy cow. Thank you so much, Martha. Again, it costs us a couple hundred. I don't want to get into the exact number, but it costs us, several $100s to pay for John out there. We also have to buy him a new monopod because protesters screwed with him after he shut down his live stream yesterday, and they stole his monopod in addition to pushing him. Jen sent an email about that earlier. And these were actually a few Antifa protesters. So, in the grand scheme of things, I'm all down with Antifa. I'm against fascism. However, sometimes some of these Antifa protesters, frankly, are a little out of control, if you ask me. And they've told said to journalists, you need our permission to shoot. You need to consult with us, A, B, and C, or we don't like you shooting here. Well, in fairness, and this is somebody who has covered a lot of protests, if you're against fascism, stop dictating to journalists what you could shoot. If somebody said to me, don't shoot my face, I would respect that. But we can't, we were on the ground actually shooting what the police were doing. So the fact that several Antifa protesters literally attacked, and I'm not dramatizing it, they stole his monopod and pushed him and roughed up his camera a little bit. Thank God it's working. Why? We were one of the few outlets there actually covering what the police were doing and interviewing the protesters. It's just madness. I understand that some of these protesters have reason to be paranoid. I understand that a lot of these protesters have reason to be suspicious of the media because in most cases, the corporate media is not your friend. But Google it. We're Status Coup. We are a friend to the protester. We are a friend to the truth. We are there to expose militarized police and oppression. I digress. If you didn't know, John did get, not like, beaten up with a blue, black and blue, but he was attacked. So definitely support us if you can. Thank you so much. Swirly Swirl, $2. Both sides are getting paranoid. Yes, I agree. So what do you think? Am I overestimating the shy Trump supporter? Am I underestimating the shy Trump supporter? One thing is clear to me, and this is also interesting. Obama has decided, finally, to get out there and campaign with Biden. You wonder, do you want the guy to win? But where are they going? This is important. Where is Obama and Biden going in the crucial days before the election? Well, they're going to Michigan on Saturday. I actually think that's telling. There's only so much real estate in terms of time left, and they're going to Michigan. Now, there's a few possibilities for this. Number one, the Democrats, Biden's campaign team, have learned from their mistakes of 2016. They don't want to take anything for granted, including Michigan, even though the polls are showing that he's in a comfortable lead. Polls are fluctuating now between 5 to 10 points for Biden. There was just a Wisconsin poll that came out, ABC, Washington Post, I believe, that had him up 17 points. That's 100% an outlier. He ain't winning Wisconsin by 17 points, speaking of Biden. But the fact that Obama is joining Biden in Michigan on Saturday being 3 days before the election, to me would indicate not so much that that they have learned from their mistakes and they are just, making sure to leave everything on the table in a place like Michigan. To me, that would indicate that their internal polling might be showing a little closer of a race than the public polls, possibly 4 to 5 points rather than 5 to 10. If that's the case, I would add Michigan in with Pennsylvania as Trump possibly could upset. The reason that I think Trump is going to have a harder time upsetting this time, whether it's shy Trump voters, whether the shy Trump supporter thing is a reality or not, Trump has pissed off a lot of farmers. He's pissed off a lot of farmers in Wisconsin. He's pissed off a lot of farmers in Pennsylvania. He's pissed off a lot of farmers in Michigan. Remember, he's gone with his little trade war. He thought that would be a good idea. A lot of people in his base like it. Well, a lot of farmers have been devastated by Trump's trade war. Then you add on the pandemic, which has put the nail in their existing coffin. Trump said, well, I'm going to add stimulus. I'm going to give direct stimulus, i.e. socialism. I'm going to give direct stimulus to the farmers to make up for them losing out. And they've lost a lot of their customers. They've lost a lot of their partners, their distributors that they normally do because of Trump's trade war. Problem is, you talk to a lot of these farmers, you read up. It was a nightmare to get that stimulus money. Bureaucracy after bureaucracy, they had to find third-party organizations to distribute to them. Trump's PPP program for small businesses did not actually help. Did not actually get distributed to most farmers because most farmers didn't have an existing relationship with the Small Business Administration where they had worked in the past with the Small Business Administration. So not only is it that Biden is probably going to do better in places like Detroit, Milwaukee, that Hillary Clinton did worse in 2016 among black voters, but Biden's probably, from the polls, going to pluck away a good, even if it's 2 to 3% of those rural voters, those farmers, that could be what decides some of these states, including Michigan and Wisconsin. So that, I think, is the difference. Thank you for the super chat. Farkas Garvi, $4.99. Will you be streaming election numbers or riot activity on election night? Thank you. Farkas, I can only tell you where we're going. I can't tell you what we're doing because it really just depends on the conditions on the ground. There's also, if you don't know, a deadly pandemic going on, and I'd like not to contract coronavirus again. So I'm probably not going to be at like some crowded election night thing with the results coming in because I don't think it's safe. Cases are going up all over the country, and we need to be safe. I also have a wifey now to think of, so I need to be safe when I'm out there. So, it's possible I could recontract the coronavirus. The numbers of people who are recontracting it are going up and be asymptomatic and not know it and then come home and give it to my lovely wife. I don't want to do that. Jen's got to be careful. She's got kids. John's got to be careful. So my gut is, and a lot of this will depend on conditions on the ground, if you live in Pennsylvania, email us, info@statuscoup.com. If you have suggestions, we're thinking about going to one of the three, or possibly all of them if they're within driving distance. There were 3 counties in Pennsylvania in 2016 that switched from Obama to Trump. We're thinking about covering those 3 counties because as of right now, it looks like they might flip back to the Democratic column, but we don't know. One of them was Erie County, I believe. Another one was Laverne County. I'm blanking on the third. Let me get it for you right now, actually, while it's on my mind. Yeah, so the pivot counties were Erie County, Luzerne County, and Northampton County. So I don't know the geography off the top of my head, but this map will tell us. Yeah, so those are spread out. We might be able, we probably would be able to cover Northampton and Luzerne because they're close to one another. Let me know if you guys can see that. So the yellow is those 3 counties that swung. So we probably would go to Luzerne County and Northampton County. As you could see, 2012, Obama wins Northampton County by almost 5%. 2016, Trump wins Northampton County by 3, almost 4%. And then you go up to Luzerne. 2012, Obama wins by about 5%. 2016, Trump, it flips radically to Trump by 20%. So these are the key counties that will really decide. You look at Erie County up here. Obama wins it by 16%. In 2016, in 2012, Obama takes it by 16%. And then it flips all the way back in 2016 to Trump by a little less than 2. So these counties will be critical. And then some of these red states do have a chance at flipping back to Biden. And then you also look at Bucks County. Hillary Clinton only won this by a little under 1%. That these are suburban, right out the suburban areas outside of Philadelphia. Hillary only won it by 1%, so that might be a key county. So, we're probably going to be doing a lot of driving to try and go to a lot of different places, probably go to polling places. You just don't know, to answer your question. There might be standoffs between the Trump supporters and voters, might be some intimidation things going on at the polling places. So we're really going to have to play it by ear. One thing I can tell you, ain't my first rodeo, as humbly as I could say it. We will be where we need to be. We will not be, we're not going to be like everybody else sitting in our studio pontificating. We are going to be out in the trenches for you. So please, if you can, support us in the GoFundMe, Super Chat, whatever you got to do. Chester, $5. How is Obama shamelessly going to show his face in Michigan after gaslighting Flint residents, who, by the way, still don't have clean drinking water? Thank you for bringing that up. That's a good question. And by the way, I don't think he's going to be showing his face on Saturday in Flint. That I could probably guarantee you. But Obama shamelessly does a lot of things and pretends that, he was a wonderful guy and did no damage and didn't drone half the world and didn't suspend habeas corpus and many other things. But it's not a bad idea if you're Biden, because Obama, frankly, does excite particularly black voters. But a lot of these, suburban wine moms love themselves some President Obama. So not a bad idea for Biden to bring him out. Also, you got to wonder, why has it taken since literally 3 days before the election for Obama to join Biden? Kind of seems to me Obama doesn't want to have the same fate that he had in 2016, where he went all in for Hillary Clinton, did many different events with her and for her, and then she lost, and he looked like a punk. So we shall see. Alex, $10. I'm not shy about my support for Status Coup. Yes, Alex, that's what I'm talking about. Love that comment. Love it, love it, love it. And Ashura, $2. If Trump wins by cheating, would you accept that? Absolutely not. That actually brings me, I love it. I love it when the viewers are my segue. And if you came to this late, I just want to remind you, tonight we will be live, probably in about an hour and a half, again, from Philadelphia. Do you see any other corporate outlets on the ground in the trenches interviewing the protesters, showing what the police are doing to protesters there? Last night, police beat the crap out of protesters. We got it on camera. We even got on camera one of the police officers, a female officer, saying to one of the protesters, "I don't care about you either. What's up? What's up?" That's literally a police officer saying to the protester, "I don't care about you either." To be clear, the protester was screaming obscenities at the police officer, but the police officer kind of said the quiet part out loud, if you ask me. So we'll be live probably around 7:30 Eastern. So make sure, again, if you came late to this, if you're not on our text list, you're not doing your duty as an American citizen or a global citizen, because we have a lot of viewers globally. Make sure you're on our text list so you get a text message when we're live, because YouTube tends to forget to alert you that we are live or that we exist, for that matter. Text COUP to 370-370. Text COUP to 370-370. And by the way, if you don't know, the Discord is going strong. We just launched our Discord for members last week. So we will be chatting in the Discord. I'll be on the Discord right after this live stream saying hello to folks, taking a couple questions. So definitely join us as a member so you could get that perk. Statuscoup.com/join. Statuscoup.com/join. So somebody asked, will you just accept it if Trump cheats? Well, what we need to see, this is my pet peeve. Why is it that viewers feel the need to tell me when other people are live now? Can somebody explain this to me? Do I need to know when every time Jimmy Dore goes live or Graham Elwood goes live? Can't you just let me be? No, I'm just kidding. No, but I'm not. It's kind of annoying. So Trump, I think it was earlier today, Trump just came out and said it straight up. Where is this?
November 3rd to count ballots. That won't be allowed by the various courts because, as you know, we're in courts on that. Hopefully, the few states remaining that want to take a lot of time after November 3rd to count ballots, that won't be allowed by the various courts because, as you know, we're in courts on that. We just had a big victory yesterday in Wisconsin on that matter. So hopefully that won't be happening. Okay? Hopefully, the few states remaining that want to take a lot of time after November 3rd to count ballots, that won't be allowed by the various courts because, as you know, we're in courts on that. We just had a big victory yesterday in Wisconsin on that matter. So hopefully that won't be happening. Okay? Hopefully, the few states remaining that
So basically, what you just heard was, whoa, I don't know what just happened to the screen, my bad. Basically, what you just heard is Trump openly calling out to, in many cases, the judges that Mitch McConnell and the Republican Party have been ramming through for the last 4 years, all over the court. District courts and federal courts all over the country. Republicans have been appointing very, very conservative judges with Chuck Schumer and the Democratic Party rubber stamping them. This is the madness. Democrats have been largely, without fight, approving all of the conservative judges that Mitch McConnell has put forth for nomination, district court, federal court, without problem. Well, a lot of those judges are going to be on, one of 4 or 5 judges deciding electoral ballot challenges in Pennsylvania, in Michigan, in Wisconsin. And there you have President Trump literally openly saying, yeah, I hope that courts around the country aren't going to allow mail-in ballots that come in after Election Day. There's going to be a lot of mail-in ballots that come in after Election Day. Frankly, that could be the difference. It could be on election night that Trump overperforms of Election Day voters. Right now, he is polling better than Biden in terms of voters that plan on voting on Election Day. He's losing in terms of mail-in balloting and early balloting. But Trump could, I don't want to say clean Biden's clock, but on Election Day, Trump could perform a lot better than Biden at the actual polling places, because frankly, a lot of Republicans seem more intent on risking their lives because a lot of them live in their fantasy world that COVID's not a real thing or it's not a great threat or whatever. And then if he's doing well on Election Day, he's got the federal judiciary and district courts stacked thanks to Mitch McConnell and the Democrats approving and voting for these judges. Again, it's always the Democrats driving the getaway car as Republicans rob the Treasury or screw the country. Thank you, Colin Tooley, for that amazing graphic. A lot of these judges that they appointed could decide, no, we're not going to allow these ballots in Pennsylvania, in Wisconsin, in Michigan. Possibly, who knows? Could it be close in Arizona, where Biden was going to win Arizona, which Trump won in 2016? But judges rule, no, we're not allowing these ballots. Could it even come down to that in the state of Iowa, which is right now, Biden has a small lead in key polls. Georgia has technically been in play. I don't really put a lot of stock in the Texas polls. I don't think Biden has a chance to win Texas. But some of these other states, other than Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania, which I think it could be critical in, some of these other states, New Hampshire, Hillary Clinton won New Hampshire, I think by a point, maybe less than a point. Maine has one congressional district that decides Maine. I mean, there's so many different possibilities and pathways to 270, and Trump is openly basically giving his instruction to the federal judges, most of them conservative. Toss out the ballots after Election Day so I could win. And who's going to stop him? Who is going to stop him? Who is going to stop the judges from stacking the deck? A lot of these places have a conservative majority, both on the both on the district level and federal judges. So I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility to the person who asked me that question. Thank you for the segue, because this was my next topic. Trump does steal the election. And frankly, he's got a 6-3 Supreme Court majority to seal the deal for him. I think it's different than 2020 now. I think it's different than the year 2000 right now. I truly believe if Trump tried to steal the election, if it were close, and they tossed out, possibly millions of ballots that came in after Election Day, I possibly think you could see a civil war in this country. I really do. I truly believe it. I don't mean like a civil war, like the Civil War. I mean like armed violence in the streets, because I just can't imagine the people standing for that. I can't imagine not just Biden voters, but just progressives in general, which, Biden voters aren't actually progressive. I can't imagine if they just rig the whole thing, state by state, the courts, throw out ballots. If it goes to the Supreme Court, them rubber stamping Trump. If it went like Florida, possibly where the state Republican Party confirms or approves it for Trump, I just can't imagine it. I can't imagine it. We'll see. I might have egg on my face. It might shy Trump voters might have nothing to do with anything. Biden might win, by 30 to 40 electoral college votes, and I was wrong. But I think it's going to be a lot closer than people think. I think it's going to be a lot closer than the polls are saying right now. I do think Trump has a chance in Pennsylvania. I don't think Biden has a chance in Texas. I don't think Biden would win Georgia. I think Biden has a chance in Arizona. But the thing is, Latinos are so important in Texas, in Arizona, in other parts of the country. And the Biden campaign has done a poor job of outreach to Latinos. Why? Because they wrongly assume, like all the entire neoliberal establishment, that the only fact that would matter to Latino voters, the only issue that would matter to Latino voters, is DACA or Trump calling immigrants drug lords, rapists, and murderers. No, they want Medicare for all, a lot of those Latinos. That's why they like Bernie. They want higher minimum wage. They don't want Obamacare being expanded. They want it out, and Medicare. They want free public college tuition. They want universal child care. They want progressive policies. They vote on economic issues. They care about climate change. Biden's campaign is one big bowl of identity politics, and they have not connected with Latino voters. He got his clock cleaned in the primary among Latino voters, and in the polls right now, Trump is hovering between 35 and 40% in some polls among Latinos. If Trump even sniffs 35% among Latinos, that's going to be a problem. Frankly, if Trump even gets between 10 to 12% of black people, which right now he's polling around 8 to 9% of black people, that's going to be a problem. So I don't think this election is over by any stretch of the imagination. I really don't. But to answer your question, am I going to just simply accept it if Trump cheats? Of course not. Whether I like Biden or not, I don't like Biden. I care a lot more about corruption than I do, let's attack the Democratic Party. So if it's clear that this whole thing was rigged, if it's clear that the courts, the Republican judiciary around the country that Mitch McConnell has rammed through are just basically rigging this whole thing, tossing out all the ballots that might put Biden over the edge, I'll be on the front lines reporting about it and complaining about it, because that's bigger than Biden versus Trump. That is, we're not a democracy if that happens. Frankly, we're not a democracy anyway. I mean, if we were a democracy, we wouldn't have over $1 billion spent on elections. If we were a democracy, public opinion would rule. 70% of the country wants Medicare for all. Majorities want free public college. Majorities want a Green New Deal. Majorities want to stop fracking. But these things don't happen. Democracy is usually what the public sentiment is, usually registers in politicians' decisions. But there's levels. And if that happens, no, we will not at Status Coup simply accept it. Definitely not. So I'm going to wrap up because I want to give some space between this live stream and John going live later. Want to give some more shout outs. Thank you so much for the GoFundMe donation. Rachel, really appreciate it. Why is it doing that? Hold on. Okay, better. Rachel, $20. Anonymous, $10. So we're now at $124,343. So I want to just make sure, because we have been going up on subscribers. We're almost at 91,000. So I want to make sure anyone new understands. When you see almost $125,000, we don't have that in the bank. Not even close. That's how much we've cumulatively raised since launching this in 2018. We've spent a lot of the donations on reporting, on travel, on the live view, which costs us $25,000, but obviously makes a difference when we're live and could broadcast pretty much without interruption. It died on us last night. We were going live for 3 hours, so it's fully charged now. We should be able to go live without interruption tonight for a couple hours. We spent it on advertising, which has helped. If you've noticed, our Twitter's almost at 52,000, which it was pretty low. But we've spent some ads to get our Twitter seen because, frankly, Twitter, like YouTube, suppresses us. We spent money on other equipment. These trips add up. Every trip, even if we're being super frugal, which we always are, costs between $2,000 and $3,000 when you're sending a reporter, sometimes 2 reporters, and a camera person. So I just want you to know the number is a little deceiving. That's not what we currently have in pocket. If we had that in pocket, we'd be euphoric, but we don't. So appreciate all donations. Definitely tune in tonight. John should be live about an hour. Sometimes he texts me earlier than I thought, earlier than he told me, like going live now. So definitely make sure you're on our text list so that you get a text message when he's live. I think tonight could be even more tense in Philadelphia because there is a curfew at 9 o'clock from other protests, whether it was George Floyd, Breonna Taylor. I don't know, sometimes the curfew matters and sometimes it further escalates the violence because protesters are pissed and they don't care if there's a curfew because they want to be heard. From what I saw, the Philadelphia police, like the police in Louisville, like the police in Minneapolis, like the police pretty much everywhere, are out of control. I understand it's not a pleasant experience if you're a police officer, being screamed at, having things thrown at you, having curse words come at you. I get it. I'm sure that's not fun. I'm sure you don't like it. However, you're paid by us. That does not give you the right to punch protesters. Doesn't give you the right to arbitrarily tackle protesters to the ground. It doesn't give you the right to try and intimidate journalists, which they did last night to John and other journalists on the ground there. So we are going to be on the ground there. Jessica, curfew for protesters in Philadelphia tonight is 9 o'clock Eastern. So I don't really think it's going to matter. I think there's going to still be a lot of protesters out there tonight. People are upset. The fact that the police response to not tasering Walter Wallace Jr., who, again, this is all about Walter Wallace Jr., 27-year-old black man, had mental illness, was carrying a knife towards the police. However, he was not like within 2 feet of the police. He was about 7 to 10 feet away from the police carrying that knife. His mother was pleading to de-escalate the situation, telling the police he's having an episode, he's mentally ill. The police could have tasered him. The police could have ran the other way. The police could have tasered him. But according to the police, they didn't have tasers because of budget cuts. Interesting. So, that's the deal. Let me read some comments, questions, concerns before I go. But when anti-lockdown terrorists stormed the Capitol building with guns, they got their way. Absolutely. And by my reporting, during these Trump rallies and these Trump flag drop rallies, the police and the Trump supporters, they might as well be boyfriend and girlfriend. It's nauseating. But for these Black Lives Matter protesters, yes, the police are getting yelled at. Yes, they have things being thrown at them. They are literally treating protesters like terrorists. It is crazy and nauseating. Henry, Philadelphia police have a long-standing reputation as being the most abusive in this entire area. Good to know. Don't forget, Status Coup is always looking for sponsors. If you're able, help pay for someone's membership. Email info@Status Coup. That's a good idea, Dave. Thank you. Carl, hey, everybody. Are you slow? MR is part of TYT Network. Who you calling slow? I don't really know what you're talking about, but okay. You know what? I want to actually, before I go, hold on. This ear thing that Ty got me is kind of hurting my ear. I want to show Joe Biden's response when asked about Walter Wallace being murdered. Because to me, I would say it's tone deaf, but I don't think it's about tone. I think this is who Joe Biden really is. Here is what Joe Biden had to say when asked about another black man, specifically Walter Wallace, being murdered in Philadelphia.
What I say is that, and as we are.
Mr. Vice the shooting in Philadelphia, what do you say to Philadelphia residents that are outraged by yet another unarmed black man being shot by police?
What I say is that there is no excuse whatsoever for the looting and the violence. None whatsoever. I think to be able to protest is totally legitimate, is totally reasonable. But I think that the looting is just, as the victim's father said, do not do this. It's not what my son, you're not helping, you're hurting, you're not helping my son. And there are certain things we're going to have to do as we move along. And I know the local folks in Philadelphia are thinking about it as well, and that is how we deal with, how do you diminish the prospect of lethal shooting in circumstances like the one we saw. That's going to be part of the commission I set up to determine how we deal with these changes. But there's no excuse for the looting.
So you couldn't hear what the reporter asked because the volume was low. The reporter asked, "What do you think about, people are outraged, another black man has been murdered by police?" His immediate response was to go into the looting. Now, let me be clear. I'm a white man, okay? I'm not black. And I don't think anyone would say like, yeah, go burn down buildings, go destroy businesses, this and that. Nobody's saying that. I'm not glorifying it. However, if you're black and week after week, month after month, year after year, generation after generation, your people, your brothers, your sisters, your mothers, your fathers, your uncles, your cousins, your friends, fill in the gap, are being murdered with no change. Legalize government executions of black people. I don't know. After a while, wouldn't you get tired of circling the block and chanting? I'm not glorifying violence. I don't think you should be violent. I feel bad that there is collateral damage as far as business owners, getting damage to their business, this and that. I remember on Long Island, my parents who own a small business were very concerned because there were some protesters, some BLM protesters talking about, bringing violence to or damaging certain businesses. I get it. If you're a small business owner or just a business owner, you don't want your business, which you've worked very hard to be damaged. But this automatic, by the way, it's the consultants telling them, well, we got to keep these moderate Republicans, so you got to immediately condemn the looting. Well, why are they looting? Is it because another black person has been murdered and nothing's going to be done about it? It's easy politically to just condemn looting and condemn violence. Why isn't one of the first things he said, this man was not anywhere near the police. This man's mother was telling the police he is mentally ill. Why did the police not leave and send a social worker? Send an emergency worker who deals with mental health. But none of that was his initial response. It was the conservative Fox News line, the looters. We got to condemn the looters. And then he pivots. Oh, my commission. Let me tell you something. The fastest way for nothing to ever be done in politics is when they talk about, I'm going to create a commission to study reparations. I'm going to create a commission to study police brutality, where I'm going to have people on the commission that have blatant conflicts of interest or profit from police violence. Obviously, this doesn't mean Trump is better. Trump is basically Team Blue Lives Matter. Trump is literally urging the police to be violent. Trump's literally not even dog whistling, openly telling white supremacist groups, stand back, stand by. So Trump's got to go. A lot of you disagree with me, but you know my thoughts. I'm no fan of Biden. I voted for him. I wasn't happy about it, but I did vote for him because I think this is beyond the lesser of two evils. I think it is truly dangerous just for our survival and the progressive movement going forward if Trump gets another 4 years. With that said, I, unlike others, am not going to close my eyes, count to 10, and pretend Joe Biden is not evil. It's just a quieter country club. I won't tweet outrageous, crazy things kind of evil. He's a warmonger. He has been complicit in selling your jobs offshore. He has been complicit in people literally having to ration medicine, having to choose between medicine for their kids or groceries. He ain't no friend of mine. And I think that's the problem with the progressive movement. A lot of progressives can't wrap it around their head, the idea of nuance, because everybody is under this weird prism of, you're a sellout. You're a sellout if you don't agree with me 100%. You're a sellout if you're not as fire-breathing as me. No, I'm not a sellout. I think my actions sell the story. My actions of where I go, the communities I choose to cover. It's easy for people to say you're a sellout because, oh, you voted for Biden. Yeah? Well, why don't you go out and go to Flint 16 times in 4 years? Several times on my own dime, personally. Why don't you go cover the story in Queens that no one's covering of poor black people being without gas to cook for over 30 days right now? Why don't you go cover the Proud Boys, which Jen just did, and risk yourself, sellout? To the people that say you're a sellout, piss off. But I could do two things at once. I could say, listen, I came to my own decision. I have to vote for Biden. I ain't telling you how to vote. It's up to you. You vote for Biden. I hope you don't vote for Trump, but or don't vote, or vote Howie Hawkins, whatever. It's your vote. I ain't gonna vote or shame you. But this juvenile, immature nonsense among progressives that frankly has been kind of stoked by some hosts. You're a sellout. No, I'm not a sellout. I'm trying to avoid what I think is a psychopath for having another 4 years. And frankly, if he gets his way with his now 6-3 Supreme Court of changing the Constitution to 8 years. You think he's joking that he wants to serve more than 2 terms? So anyway, I digress. I'm going to wrap. Reminder, right now it looks like in less than an hour, John will be live from Philadelphia covering the protests on behalf of Walter Wallace. So definitely be there. Share that. Just a public service announcement. If you are a moderator for this channel, meaning you got that blue thing, and you're able to delete comments or block people or whatever, let's not get in, verbal things, telling people to shut up, cursing at people. If you're a moderator, Jen and I are busy when we're live. We can't moderate. In addition to, she's clipping things and pushing it on Twitter. I'm pushing things. But if there's racism or there's misogynism or there's crazy Trump trolls, whatever, you could delete racist comments, but let's not be screaming at people. Let's not be cursing at people. This is not the Jerry Springer show. Sorry to, lecture you. Let's keep it cool. The best thing, if you're a troll, feeding the trolls, you're feeding the trolls by acknowledging the trolls. You're feeding them, and I do it sometimes, but you're feeding the trolls by going at it, cursing. Let it go. That's all I got to say on that front. So thank you for watching. Keep those GoFundMe donations coming. Hey, is it possible tonight we could hit 125K raised? That would be amazing, because we do need to raise significantly more money to fund, not only tonight, to fund our reporting coming up for Election Day, which might turn into Election Week. I don't even want to say Election Month, but we really don't know how long it's going to take. This is the most crazy year, so it would fit with 2020 that this is not one election night, that this is not one election week, that it could go longer, and of course, we want to cover it as much as we can. Thank you for watching. John will be live probably within an hour. Peace out.